Critical literacy. What do I think of that? Um, it's actually something that I've been thinking about and trying to practice for a very long time. I just didn't really know it was a definition of a thing. So, in the big picture, I think that a lack of critical literacy is one of the hugest problems in our culture, society right now. Um, with all this overwhelming amount of information on social media and the internet in general, it's just kind of made people a little paralyzed as to hunting for the truth. Um, it's very difficult to know the truth, and I don't have any easy answers for that, but critical literacy is a really one of the best ways we have to figure it out. What I tend to do when I hear a story or read a story is think about the intentions of the writers and where their bias might be, even if they don't explicitly show it. And some of them are getting really good at not explicitly showing their bias, even though their whole story is bias. Um, and figuring out maybe some intent that has profitable gain. Yeah, basically, I just think of who's writing the story, who's paying them, or what they can get benefit from telling people what they are saying. So, one example recently that I came across, and it was so well done, you would never really think that he's trying to say a message that is not good. Well, it started out with an article this fellow wrote about the lack of male role models. The lack of male teachers. And so there isn't enough male role models in the school system. And his story really rubbed me the wrong way. And his writing wasn't wrong, but I couldn't figure out why I had such a problem with it. I don't have a problem with like somebody saying there's not enough male teachers if there's not enough male teachers, and there should be a balance in gender. The first thing that got me was why do young men, boys or young men, need a male as role model? Because I thought back and I'm like, a lot of the role models that I have were male. Like I didn't really think of a gender role model as having an intrinsic gender role. Um, I do see that there is some value in that, and that isn't really the inherent problem I had with the article. One issue I had also was him talking about how to recruit more men, and he was saying that the pay of teachers isn't enough to encourage more men to be teachers. That one really got me. I don't know how anybody could think that's okay to say. Um, it may be true, it may have some truth to it, but I would be kind of offended if I was a male reading that. And also, what are we going to do? Increase the pay so that it's worthwhile for men to be teachers? Like, what about all the women? Like, we don't deserve pay? Like, I don't know. There was some backwards things, but it was so well written that even, feminists in the classroom were okay with what he was saying. And I mean, they were not okay with certain parts of it, but the underlying message I was okay with as well, that, if there is only 10% men teachers, which I thought was weird too, that, yeah, it would be great to have men. But you cannot actively enforce that. So hiring minorities, like, okay, so intentional hiring process, for that to change to hire more men is a problem to me. So the reason that we have hiring, a certain amount of females or a certain amount of minorities, those are groups that have been discriminated against in the past. It's not because like, oh, we need more. It's like we're trying to right a wrong there. Whereas you can tell my bias because I'm getting so heated about it. Um, if we were to actively hire more men, and somebody thought that the teaching program was doing that already. I highly doubt, like, because we do have very balanced male men to women. I really don't think that they would be doing that because it's totally wrong. Um, for people to hire more men and give them priority is just a barrel of problems as far as, ethics, and as far as, they would get some bad press. um, and one of my biggest problems is that women, yeah, in our culture, we're not as hard off as we used to be. There's a lot of things that have happened that just have gotten better for women. Like, we can own land and we can vote. There are still some really, really heavy realities when it comes to um, gender. And kind of, for one example, is I feel like the imbalance of objectification of genders has caused big problems. And, like, objectification is going to happen, but just having the huge imbalance with genders, it feels like women are valued for their beauty. And so women feel like they need to be beautiful. And yes, of course, there are pressures like that for men too, but it is a huge, huge imbalance. And I know, like, even I had a conversation with a woman, and she felt like there was no need for feminism in our culture. And she's like, oh, well, I've never been catcalled. I'm like, what? Like, she's attractive. I'm just like, okay, maybe you just didn't know you were being catcalled. But she spent a lot of time in Brazil, and so just that difference may be that she doesn't realize that it's happening here. And anyways, I'm going on a feminist rant now. My point was, this article was very, very good at hiding its bias. And I went and looked into the author, and he has another article saying that minority women are the best educated right now. So he went in, and he really only looked at Asian women. So yes, there's huge pressures for them to be um, have a higher education, and um, even the men, he did say that Asian men have higher than North American men. And anyways, he went on to say how well minority women are educated. So there, to me, I may have just been reading into this, but I do not think so, judging by the character of this author. To me, he's saying, uh, minority women, there's nothing to worry about them. They have all the opportunity in the world. So, although he did not say that, that is what I heard him saying through his writing of his article. That, we've just, minority women are just, they have nothing to fuss about. Again, I'm putting words into the author's article that he did not say, but he may as well have. And this just happened. It happens so much these days because authors are getting so good at hiding their bias. It's incredible. But you just have to look more into them and see that they have a huge intent. They're not all about just reporting facts and figures. They have a point of view that they want you to have. And this goes for pretty much all the time. And like, even when it's totally non-biased, I don't know if that actually happens, but they do still have balanced messages sometimes, and often they're very good at putting the whole story, and they have a balanced message, and that there is still an intent that they want this, what they are writing about, the issue that they're writing about, they want to draw attention to that. So to me, that they want to draw attention because it's meaningful to them. If it's meaningful to them, chances are they have an opinion on it. So I feel like this whole non-bias rule of writing, I don't think it ever happens. And some of them are very fair and honest when they are at least giving a balanced story, but there's bias in everything. So we just have to really read into those bias and know where they're coming from, and know if we can trust what this person is saying, and then look into their resources too. And that's what people don't do. It's you only really learn how to research when you go into science education. I mean, obviously, post-secondary, you learn to research no matter what you go into, but a lot of these things are science related. All of these new facts that are coming out, they're science related, and the interpretation of that science is sometimes left to be desired. It's just, people need to just learn how to read a research study or a scientific study. It's not super hard once you get the kind of format of them, and the language is sometimes difficult, but if you really want to know the truth of a subject that you are learning or you are preaching and sharing on Facebook, get down to the bottom of the information. Yes, critical literacy. Know what you're reading. Know why they're writing it. And I think if people learn how to do that better, this world would be a much less confusing place. And people would try and trick the public much less if the public were more educated. Educated citizens, that's what we want to make as teachers. Thank you. Bye-bye.